I slammed on the brakes so hard that my car screeched across the empty highway. My headlights cut through the fog, illuminating something in the middle of the road. At first, I thought it was a deer, but then it stood up. A man. No, someone shaped like a man. He was tall, impossibly thin, and his head hung at an unnatural angle, like his neck was broken. And as the fog shifted, I saw his eyes glowing pale white. Before I could react, he lifted his arm and pointed directly at me. That's when I heard it. A whisper from the back seat of my car. "Don't look at him." I'd been on the road for hours. It was a late-night business trip, one of those drives where the radio becomes your only companion. The highway was long, flat, and empty, stretching through miles of forest and farmland. It was close to 2 a.m. when the fatigue started hitting me. My eyelids felt heavier with every mile. The GPS said I had another hour before reaching the motel I'd booked. So I did what most drivers do. I rolled down the window, letting the cool night air sting my face. It worked for a while, but then the fog rolled in. Thick, heavy fog that swallowed the road ahead until I could barely see past my headlights. That's when I noticed something strange. Every mile marker I passed was the same. Mile 47. At first I thought I was imagining it, but after the fourth mile 47 sign, my heart sank. Either I was looping or someone had swapped the signs. Neither option made sense. I was gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles ached when I saw movement in my rearview mirror. At first I thought it was a trick of the fog, but then my blood turned to ice. There was someone sitting in the back seat. A woman, pale, with long, dark hair falling over her face. She wore what looked like an old-fashioned dress, torn at the sleeves. She wasn't looking at me. She was staring out the side window, whispering softly. I almost drove off the road. My instinct was to slam on the brakes and jump out, but something inside me, some primal instinct, told me not to. Instead, I forced myself to speak, my voice shaking. Who are you?" Her head turned slowly toward me, hair falling away to reveal hollow eyes. And in a flat, broken voice, she said, "Don't look at him." I whipped my head back to the road, and that's when I saw him. He appeared out of nowhere, standing in the middle of the highway. The tall, thin man with the broken neck. My headlights lit him up, but his body seemed wrong, stretched too long, like his arms almost reached his knees. I slammed the brakes, heart hammering, and the car skidded sideways before stopping just feet from him. He didn't move, didn't flinch. He just pointed at me. And then, without moving his lips, I heard his voice inside my head. "You shouldn't have looked." The woman in the back seat suddenly screamed. I spun around, but she was gone. The seat was empty. Panic surged through me. I floored the accelerator, swerving around the figure and racing down the foggy highway. My pulse was so loud I could barely hear the engine. But no matter how fast I drove, the road didn't change. Every sign, every tree, every turn, mile 47 again and again. And then came the whispers. At first faint, like the wind, then louder, surrounding me from every direction. "He's coming! Don't let him in. Don't look again." I covered my ears, but the voices were inside my skull, vibrating through my bones. And then my radio turned on by itself. Static, hissing, until a man's voice cut through. "Pull over! Now!" I didn't obey, but a moment later, I felt the weight shift in my car. Someone was in the passenger seat. I turned, nearly choking on my own scream. It was a man this time. His face was pale, lips cracked, eyes sunken. He was wearing a driver's cap, like an old taxi driver from the 1940s. His hands were folded neatly in his lap. He didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead at the foggy road. I stammered, Who are you?" He didn't answer at first. Then, without moving his mouth, I heard it. His voice in my head, calm but chilling. "You can't leave until he chooses." I gripped the wheel tighter, voice cracking. Who? Who chooses?" Slowly, the man's head tilted toward me. His eyes were empty sockets. And in the most horrifying whisper, he said, "The one you already looked at." I screamed and swerved, the car nearly spinning out before straightening. When I looked back, the seat was empty again. At this point, I was hysterical. My phone had no signal, the GPS was frozen, and the highway stretched endlessly. No exits, no signs except mile 47. Then I saw headlights in the distance. Relief flooded me. Another car! I honked, flashed my brights, desperate for help. But as the car approached, dread replaced relief, because it was my car. Same model, same color, same license plate. And inside, I saw me, driving. My doppelganger stared at me through the windshield, face pale, eyes wide. His lips moved, whispering something I couldn't hear. Then the other car swerved into my lane, aiming straight at me. I screamed and jerked the wheel, my car spinning out of control. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting still. Engine silent, the road completely empty, and standing right in front of my hood was the tall man with the broken neck. He leaned down, face inches from my windshield. His eyes glowed pale white, drilling into me. And then he spoke, not aloud, but in my head. "One goes, one stays." I didn't understand. Tears blurred my vision. "Please, I just want to leave." He pointed to the passenger seat. And when I looked, the woman was back. The pale figure with hollow eyes, clutching her torn dress. She whispered, "Choose me, or him." I spun around. The man in the driver's cap was in the back seat, grinning with his toothless mouth. "Choose me, or her." My chest heaved. I screamed, "I don't want either of you!" The tall man tilted his broken head. "Then you stay." He raised his arm and pressed his hand against the windshield. The glass cracked, shattered, and darkness swallowed me. I woke up in my motel room the next morning, car keys on the nightstand. For a moment, I thought it was all a nightmare, until I walked outside. My car was parked where I left it, but scratched into the hood, deep into the metal, were 3 words: Mile 47 forever. I moved to another city after that trip. I haven't driven at night since, but sometimes, when fog rolls in, I swear I hear it. That voice from the back seat, whispering, "Don't look at him." The phone on the counter rang again. I froze. My hands were trembling so badly I nearly dropped the receiver. It was the 6th time that night. And just like before, when I answered, there was nothing. Just heavy breathing on the other end. I whispered into the line, "Who is this?" The breathing stopped. And then a man's voice spoke, calm but dripping with malice. "I can see you." I turned, heart hammering, and through the glass doors of the empty gas station, there he was. A figure standing just outside in the shadows, watching me. I'd only been working at the gas station for 2 weeks. The place was small, tucked off a lonely highway that was mostly used by truckers. My boss always said, "The night shift's easy money. Barely any customers. Just keep the coffee hot and the lights on." He didn't mention the silence. He didn't mention how unsettling it was to sit behind a counter at 2 a.m. with nothing but buzzing fluorescent lights and the occasional moth hitting the glass. That night, I was alone, half asleep, with a magazine in my lap, when the phone rang. At first, I thought it was a customer needing directions, but when I answered, silence. "Hello?" I said. No reply. Just breathing. Slow, heavy, like someone was right there, holding the phone against their mouth. Finally, I hung up, shaking my head. Probably a prank, but it wasn't the last time. 15 minutes later, it rang again. This time, when I picked up, the voice came. Low, male. "You shouldn't be there." I froze. "What? Who is this?" No reply. Just the dial tone. I tried to convince myself it was some drunk trucker messing around, but deep down, I felt the chill. I checked the lot outside. Empty. No cars, no headlights. The station felt smaller suddenly, the buzzing lights harsher. I tried to distract myself, counting stock behind the counter. But when the phone rang a third time, my chest tightened. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity, or maybe fear, made me pick it up. "I'm coming in." The line went dead. I gripped the counter so hard my nails dug into the laminate. My eyes darted to the glass doors at the front. Nothing, just the reflection of the bright lights inside. Minutes passed. No one came in. I tried to laugh it off, but my voice cracked. "Screw this. Probably kids." But then, movement. Outside at the far edge of the lot, just beyond the reach of the security lights. A figure. Tall. Motionless. Watching. I blinked, and he was gone. By now, every nerve in my body was on fire. My instinct told me to leave, but walking into the dark parking lot felt worse than staying inside. The phone rang again. Hands shaking, I answered. This time the voice was calm. Too calm. "Don't hang up." I swallowed hard. "Who are you? What do you want?" "I like watching you." Ice spread through my chest. I whispered, "If you come in here, I'm calling the cops." The man chuckled, low, raspy. "You already did. They won't make it in time." The line went dead. I backed away from the counter, grabbing the baseball bat my boss kept under the register. My eyes never left the glass doors. Then I heard it. The sound of keys jingling. From the side door. I whipped around. Someone was trying to unlock it. The knob rattled violently, metal scraping against metal. "Hey!" I shouted, heart racing. "Get the hell out of here!" The noise stopped. Silence. Then, from the phone behind me, another ring. I picked it up without thinking, and the voice said, "Wrong door." Behind me, glass shattered. I spun around, bat raised, just in time to see the figure crawling through the broken front window. He was tall, wearing dark clothes, His face was obscured by a hood. I shouted, swinging the bat wildly. "Stay the hell back." He froze halfway through the window. For a moment, we stared at each other. And then slowly, he began to grin. "You really thought you were alone, didn't you?" I backed toward the storage room, pulse screaming in my ears. "I called the cops. They're on their way." He laughed, climbing fully inside. "I know. I'm one of them." Every instinct told me to run. I darted into the storage room, slamming the door and locking it. My hands fumbled for my phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers. The operator picked up immediately. "911, what's your emergency?" I stammered, "Someone broke into the station. He's inside." The operator's calm voice replied, "Don't worry. An officer is already on scene." My blood froze. "No! He's not an officer. He broke in. He's..." The line clicked. Dead. And then knocking. Slow, rhythmic, right on the other side of the storage door. "I told you. I can see you." I was cornered. No windows, no exits. Just a locked door between me and him. Then I remembered the back exit. A maintenance door leading outside. Quietly, I slipped through it, the night air hitting me like ice. I ran across the lot, sprinting toward the woods behind the station. My lungs burned, my legs screamed. But I didn't stop until the gas station lights were nothing but a distant glow. When I finally collapsed, I pulled out my phone again. Miraculously, this time I had signal. I called 911. A real operator answered. "Stay where you are. Officers are on their way." I waited, heart still hammering. When the patrol car finally arrived, 2 officers got out. Flashlights sweeping the woods, they found me curled against a tree. I told them everything. The calls, the break-in, the man. They exchanged looks before one of them said, "The phones inside that gas station, they've been disconnected for months. Out of service." I stared at him, unable to breathe. "But what?" I answered them. "He called me. Over and over." The officer shook his head. And then he said something that haunts me to this day. "You're not the first night shift worker to get those calls." I quit the job that night. The gas station still stands, though. Abandoned now. Windows boarded. Doors chained shut. But truckers passing by after midnight swear they still see it. The lights flickering on. The phone ringing. And sometimes, if you get too close, a figure standing inside, grinning at you through the glass. I was standing in the pitch-black hallway of that old house, clutching my phone like a lifeline, its weak flashlight flickering against peeling wallpaper. The silence was unbearable, until it was shattered by a blood-curdling scream. It wasn't just any scream. It came from upstairs. From a room I knew had no one inside. My knees locked, breath caught in my throat. I wanted to run, but then I heard it again. A woman's voice, raw with terror, echoing through the wooden beams. "Help me! Please don't let him take me!" And then, pounding footsteps. Heavy, coming straight toward me. That was the moment I realized I wasn't alone in the house. Most terrifying stories don't start with an adventure. They start with boredom. It was a Friday night, and like any group of reckless 20-somethings with nothing better to do, my friends and I were looking for thrills. Jason, the boldest of us, had heard rumors about an abandoned house on the edge of town, one people whispered about but never entered. According to the stories, it had once belonged to a man named Richard Hale, a reclusive figure in the 1970s. He'd lived there with his wife and daughter until one night they disappeared. No bodies, no clues, just gone. Neighbors claimed they'd heard screaming before the house went dark. And after that night, no one lived there again. The place had been sitting for decades, untouched, rotting, but of course, to Jason, that made it the perfect target for an overnight dare. "Come on," he grinned. "We'll bring flashlights, record it, maybe even live stream it. Think of the views." I wanted to say no, but curiosity, mixed with that dangerous need not to look like a coward, made me agree. So, at 11:45 p.m., we stood at the rusting iron gate, staring at the looming silhouette of Hale House under a starless sky. The house was enormous, 3 stories tall, its windows like hollow black eyes staring down at us. The porch sagged, and the front door hung crooked on its hinges. Even before stepping inside, the air felt heavy, the kind of heavy that presses against your chest, warning you that you shouldn't be there. Jason kicked the door open with a laugh. "Ladies first," he teased, waving us in. Inside, the smell hit us, mildew, rot, and something faintly metallic. The walls were water-stained, wallpaper curling like dead skin. We turned on our flashlights, beams slicing through the darkness. That's when we noticed the pictures. Family portraits, still hanging crooked on the walls, their glass cracked but intact. A man with stern features, a woman smiling faintly, a little girl clutching a teddy bear, all frozen in time. "Creepy, right?" whispered Maria, our quietest friend. She was clutching her jacket tightly, eyes darting to every shadow. But Jason was unfazed. He marched ahead, announcing loudly, "We'll split up. More ground covered. Everyone record something scary." That was mistake number 1. I paired with Maria while Jason and Kyle went upstairs. The first floor was a maze of rooms, a dust-covered living room with furniture draped in sheets, a kitchen where pots still hung on the walls, and a dining room where the long table was still set with rotting plates. It was like the family had vanished mid-dinner. Maria kept whispering, "I don't like this. I don't like this." I tried to lighten the mood. It's just a house. No ghosts, no demons. Just old wood and raccoons. But then, something happened. As we crossed the dining room, my flashlight flickered and landed on the far corner. For a split second, I saw something. A figure. Small, childlike, standing completely still. But when the light steadied, nothing was there. Maria saw my face pale. "What? What did you see?" I shook my head, forcing a laugh. Probably just a shadow. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. We regrouped with Jason and Kyle, who were buzzing with excitement. "Dude, you won't believe this," Jason said, grinning. "Upstairs bedroom? Closet door slammed shut on its own." Kyle nodded, pale but trying to look tough. It was loud, like someone was inside. Maria wanted to leave, but Jason insisted we all go upstairs together. The staircase groaned with every step, dust falling from the ceiling. My heart hammered harder the higher we climbed. At the top, the hallway stretched endlessly, doors on both sides. And that's when we heard it. Soft, distant humming. A woman's voice. It was coming from the last door on the left. Jason whispered, "Holy sh... You hear that?" We did. All of us. The door was cracked open. Jason, of course, pushed it wide. Inside was a bedroom, likely the daughter's. Toys littered the floor. A tiny bed, neatly made, stood in the corner. And on the wall, written in faded crayon, were the words, "Don't let him take me." Maria gasped. Kyle swore under his breath. And then, out of nowhere, the humming stopped. The silence was deafening. I raised my flashlight, and that's when I saw it. The closet door slowly creaked open. Inside, there was nothing but darkness. We ran until we hit the main road, not stopping until the house was just a shadow in the distance. The next morning, Jason went back for his phone. He didn't want to leave evidence behind. When he showed us the recording later, my blood ran cold. Because in the footage, as he opened that closet door, a woman's face appeared for a split second. Pale, wide-eyed, mouth open in a scream. And behind her, looming in the shadows, was the tall man. No one else is brave enough to go back. The house still stands, rotting away. And if you ever pass it at night, some say you can still hear it. That woman's scream, echoing through the empty halls.